Fuzzy, we got to get into and again, this is a fun one, folks, ladies and gentlemen. This is a fun one. I think you're going to enjoy it. So, Fuzzy, we have a story here from PureXbox.com. It was written by Fraser Gilbert. It was posted on Thursday. And the headline for the story is Rumor. These 5 games could show up at the Xbox Game Showcase in 2025. And it's asked a question, is this a hint of what's to come? So you're asking yourself, well, Boom, I can't see your screen. What are the 5 games? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. Now, this original report comes the way of Ecstasies. You've heard me mention him before, a Spanish YouTuber with a lot of insider connections. A lot of people use his stuff. I use it all the time. Both stories that we use today will, of course, be in the show notes. So if you want to read both stories for yourself, you can just click away when the show is done. When the video is up on demand, you can check them out there. But here is the 5 games that Ecstasies was talking about. Now, the first one, I think, is a no-brainer, Fuzzy, and that is Gears of War Collection. Now, why do I think it's a no-brainer? Because we've keep hearing about this game. Now, there has not been an official announcement, but the one thing that we do know is that Gears of War E-Day is happening in 2026. So the Gears of War collection, everyone has reported on this. Special Nick is the one that broke this. Nick, if you're listening, brother, he broke this. I want to say it's a couple of years ago. I don't know exactly how long ago, but he got such shit from people about this not being true. Folks, it exists. Trust me when I tell you it exists. And according to Ecstasies, this is one of the games that is going to be there. Now, we also know that Ninja Gaiden 4 is going to be there. Makes sense because that's going to be coming out in the fall, and I'm sure they're going to have that as well. But here's another no-brainer. Hollow Knight Silksong. We saw it on Nintendo stage. We've been hearing about this for years. Every time Xbox has an opportunity to talk about Hollow Knight Silksong, they do. The game has been delayed. We're still waiting. That's fine. That could potentially be there. And again, that's a bit of a no-brainer. The 2 that are shocking is Minecraft Dungeons 2. Now, I don't know how many people played Minecraft Dungeon 1. I very much enjoyed that. I played it for the first couple of expansions, and like anything else, I kind of fell off. But it was a lot of fun. It was a dungeon crawler. It was Minecraft meets Diablo, and it was awesome. Just a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun with it. And a sequel, I did not know it did that well enough to warrant a sequel, but after the Minecraft movie, now it makes sense. Like, if this actually happens, it's going to make bank, right? People are going to be buying it. I mean, they're up 30% on Minecraft game sales since the movie. You saw the pictures with my nephew. All he wants to do is, get collectibles for the Minecraft movie. It's what kids do, right? So that's why we're running around the whole weekend. And the other one, see, this one, it's a bit of this one is shocking. Persona 4 Remake. I didn't even know that this was happening, right? Like, okay, so that makes sense, right? It's gonna Persona 4. A lot of people really like it, so remaking Persona 4 while we wait for the next one in the series would be great. Maybe you get the remake and the announcement of the new one at the Xbox Showcase. I mean, that's always a possibility.
Yeah.
But that's not where this story starts and ends. We kind of have an idea, Fuzzy, that these things are going to be there. The 2 surprises for me, Minecraft Dungeons 2, Persona 4 Remake. But I think what raised eyebrows over the weekend is what Ecstasy said regarding surprises. Now he goes, and I'm really going to read it verbatim. Ecstasy says, they tell me literally there will not be an event. This will not be an event of great surprises. And to me, that's a bit perplexing, because if there's one thing that we usually take away from these events is Xbox shows up and they show up big. Now, maybe because State of Decay 3, that's rumored to be there, gameplay isn't really a surprise, right? Because we've already seen it. We know that it's coming out at some point, whether it be this year or next year. I would imagine that we could see some actual, like, full-on maybe gameplay of Fable, right? It was pushed into next year. That's definitely a possibility. We kind of know that's coming, right? Perfect Dark, maybe we get some more video on that. Again, that's supposed to be coming next year as well. There's no big surprise there. But I think where we could see a surprise, and I want to get the chat involved in this, what game do you need to be at this showcase? So for you, and I'll hand over the mic to you, I would imagine that it's Forza Horizon 6. Right? That's tip of spear for you.
Yeah.
For me, I hope that the rumor of this Halo Combat Evolved remake from using Unreal Engine 5 that's what I want to see, because I'm a Halo OG. Like, that's what I want to see. Fuzzy Belvedere, again, this is going to be a big show. Yeah. We know we have the developers direct on the back end that is going, we already know that's happening, and that's been happening for the last couple of shows, which is great, right? We know the game that they're going to show for the developers direct, no surprise there. But I kind of, again, I'm not saying that Ecstasies is wrong. What I'm saying is I don't necessarily know if Xbox shows up with no surprises. What first of all, besides the obvious choice for Forza Horizon being that, that's, you want to see that, everyone wants to see what 6 is going to look like. Hopefully it's in Japan. Fingers crossed. Pray to the gaming gods, ladies and gentlemen, that it is, of course, going to be in Japan. What else do you want to see? And do you think they would show up with no surprises?
I think the surprise aspect depends on if you're, in the trenches, as far as like whether it's podcasts or your party chats and things like that on the most recent games. I think for those that aren't in those loops, maybe the DLC for, Indiana Jones would be a surprise to them, but not a surprise to the majority of us. The DLC for a second DLC for Starfield, maybe Starborn makes an appearance. That may be a surprise for those outside the loop, but inside the loop, probably not a surprise if they saw it.
Yeah,
something
makes sense.
Something as big as Everwild, like they've been, more chatty more recently, or at least Rare has been in regards to that. And, with some of the stories earlier in the year from Jez, as far as they now have they've had, for some time now, a good idea of what the game loop is for that. I wouldn't be surprised if that makes an appearance. But once again, that's, the group of us that are in the loop, let's say, like those watching the podcast, those that watch a lot of these showcases and whatnot. Everwild wouldn't really be a surprise. It'd be nice to see, but it wouldn't necessarily be a surprise. But for somebody that hasn't been following its development and, some of its not stumbles, but like some of its holdbacks from the earlier showing, yeah, it might be a surprise for them to see that game make a return at the showcase. So Silksong, for those that watch even the the Nintendo Direct, yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise. But I think for some people, knowing that it's going to be day and date for Game Pass, those that haven't been paying attention when it was shown in previous showcases, day and date with an actual date for it when it goes into Game Pass, I think that would be something pretty big. But that might be surprise worthy for outside the loop, but not inside the loop. But I would love to see Forza Horizon 6. I don't think it makes an appearance, and only because of the approach that Xbox is taking with the multi-platform aspect of things. I mean, it would be diabolical if they did, in the sense that, they, put Forza Horizon 5 on PlayStation 5. Maybe they even get it on Switch at that point, and then to show it on, for Xbox and not day and date for PlayStation for Forza Horizon 6, they might have to wait a full year before they get it after they've already spent money on 5. Would be a little diabolical, but I don't think they would go quite that route. So I'm not going to hold them to it, but maybe it makes an appearance at the Game Awards. That would probably give a little bit more timing. So those that buy it on other platforms don't feel as bad or like they've been had or something. But I'm surprised that we haven't heard a lot from Double Fine. Like I do think Double Fine makes an appearance, but once again, I don't think it's a surprise to us that have been paying attention. It's like about time, or that time frame from Psychonauts 2 to now, that should have at least one of their 2 games that we're aware of, or one of their 3 games I think that they might be working on at this point make an appearance. And there's all the other things, like Ninja Theory has now floated like 3 titles that they're working on. They are working on a Hellblade 3, although it's early stuff. There's Project Mara, and then there was supposedly a 3rd project that they were working on before they get to Hellblade 3. So Project Mara making an appearance, those outside the loop might see that as a surprise. I think it's ample time enough to at least see or get an update of what it is, considering their prowess for visual amazement and stuff like that. I think showing us now, or whether they hold it until like the Game Awards, might be another approach. But I think with the way the Game Awards are, I think they save that for like Forza Horizon 6 and now if Clockwork Revolution makes an appearance.
That's another one. Yes.
I think that makes lands on Xbox next year. Just because the timing, I think it's about that time. I think they're a lot further along than people think. And the funny thing is, it seems like a lot of Xbox studios are a lot further along than people think. Like, who would have thought that would have vowed delayed till this year that they would have, Outer Worlds 2 ready at the end of the year or later this year? Like, I don't think many people had that on their bingo card. So some teams are quicker to turn things around. Others, like Bethesda, has been working, or ZeniMax Online has been working on something outside of Fallout 76. And I don't have any inside info on it, but just looking at their pedigree, not pedigree, but their history of games that they've approached. They've already done the space thing with Starfield. They've already done the high fantasy RPG stuff with Skyrim. They've already done the post-apocalyptical stuff with Fallout. I wouldn't be surprised if they have something cyberpunk-like or Blade Runner-like. Just imagine if that was a MMO that they release where it's almost like a cyberpunk MMO with Blade Runner, bounty hunting type things involved. And, it's, you play with your friends or, just do the missions with the NPCs in that static world. But I wouldn't be surprised if that game that they've been working on for now, I think it's at least 6 years at this point, makes an appearance. Like I said, I don't know what it will be exactly, although I've been told it's not Starfield MMO, which kind of makes me sad a bit, but I would love for it to have been that. But if it's not that, and it's not another Fallout thing, or if it's not something Skyrim related, I say, go for the cyberpunk aspect of things and see how that goes. But I think there's going to be surprises, but not like out of the realm of, oh, I didn't see that coming at all. Like, we kind of expect Contraband to make an appearance. Like their social media thing, they made a couple of postings. So with Contraband, that's one that we heard would have been ready earlier this year, but got pushed back to the later part of this year, but might be set for 2026. So that I expect to be there. State of Decay 3, I'm really hoping is there with an update. Although we did see a little bit of gameplay with the more recent trailers. Although some people will say, "Oh, that's CGI." No, that's what Unreal Engine looks like for compared to what their normal game looks like now. To if you were to imagine that in Unreal, that last trailer looks like gameplay when they're aiming down sights for some of the weapons. So we'll see how that goes. But and that, I think that was another one that was supposed to be a 2025 title that quote unquote got pushed to 2026. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they squeeze all this into let's say an hour and a half to 2 hour window, with more than likely Outer Worlds 2 taking up a good, let's say 15, 20 minutes plus. But I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Fable at this showcase, then maybe we see an update at
a direct
Gamescom.
maybe next year to kind of open up 2026. I mean, it makes sense, right? That's definitely getting its own direct for sure.
Yeah.
And if it's going to release first half of next year rather than it was originally supposed to come out this fall, right? They're getting out of the way of GTA. They're getting out of the way of what is rumored to be. And again, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. The Black Ops 7 information, same leaker, more NDAs broken. Again, folks, look, I'm very excited for it because it is a sequel to Black Ops 2. It's supposedly taking place in 2035. I got a bunch of details. We'll get into those tomorrow. But, I mean, Fuzzy, I know, and that's the thing. When we say surprises, right, what's the biggest surprise of last year's showcase? Easily, for me, ladies and gentlemen, and throw your opinions in the chat so we can shout you out, chat. It was, of course, Gears of War E-Day. Like, we all thought it was going to be Gears something. Was the Marcus Phoenix collection that's supposedly happening this year? Was it Gears of War 6? That eventually will happen at some point. No one was like Gears of War E-Day. I don't think anyone and so that's definitely the big surprise.
Yeah.
I look, again, I'm sorry, as insiders go, and there's quite a few in the community that are go-to guys for me. Ecstasies is one of them. He very rarely misses. I know everyone's blowing up his timeline with the Oblivion thing. And again, this is not defending him. This is not defending myself or Detective Seeds or Hazardor or anyone that ran with this rumor. It's a rumor, folks. We take it with a grain of salt. But it does make sense that if that drops like during ESO, the ESO event, which I really thought it was going to, so it's perfect. That is going to cannibalize what happened with South of Midnight. No one's going to play South of Midnight because they're playing the Oblivion remake. And more importantly, obscure Expedition 33 gets curb stomped because it's Oblivion. Everybody, I mean, who doesn't want to play a remake of one of the OGs of gaming from the Xbox 360? Raise your hand, ladies and gentlemen. I'm one of them. So again, it makes sense. That is one of the rumored landing spots for this game. They show it available now in Game Pass. We'll see if that happens or not. But I don't know. And that's the thing. Maybe because we're kind of spoiled here, Fuzzy Belvedere, and I'm going to get your thoughts on that. There isn't a lot that we don't know about what Xbox is doing, right? Like, we kind of know their roadmap is pretty ridiculous, and we're all excited for it. And they're just, look, when we first started this conversation, what's the thing that we kept saying? Oh, that's 2026. Oh, that's 2026. So you potentially have in 2026, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm giddy with this because I know it's Xbox Game Pass, the ride or die kind of a thing. But my God, you 2020. So we keep saying, every year it's getting better. It's getting better. You have potentially Gears of War E-Day. You got Fable. You got Forza Horizon 6. I mean, I know I'm missing a few. You just said a Clockwork Revolution could be one. Bro, like, are we free? If you just stop there, if we say, you know what? I can't take it anymore, Xbox. Stop delivering these goddamn games. I can't play them. We're stopping at that 4. You won, ladies and gentlemen. That's your 1 per quarter. My God, how are there any complaints? But it's not going to stop there because there are so many. Perfect Dark could be releasing next year as well. That's number 5. Contraband, number 6. Call of Duty, whatever. That's number 7. And we just keep going and going, and it's ridiculous. Yeah. It is just so ridiculous. Any thoughts to that, Fuzzy Belvedere?
Well, there's projects that we kind of have an inkling that we know are in the works. Like, we know something, not Fallout 5, but maybe Fallout not New Vegas 2 kind of thing.
Fallout New York. I'm biased. Sorry.
we know something Fallout is probably in the works. Now, NXIL could be doing a remaster of 1 and 2. Obsidian could be working on another location that's not Vegas. There's that. Then we know that Elder Scrolls 6, I always thought it would be a 2026 title, 6 in the title type of thing, but that might wind up being 2027, but we'll definitely get to see more of that, whether it's this showcase or next showcase. And one thing about Xbox, they tend to show their next Halo in a couple of showcases. So we saw Infinite, I think, stretched over 3 showcases. The first one was just showing like the environment and whatnot when they were first doing the Slip Space Engine stuff. But we could very well see what that Unreal Engine stuff, beyond what they've shown as far as just like their environmental test things that they were doing, like with the flood and stuff like that. We could see, a vertical slice of something Halo related that will be launching with the next gen console in 2026 or 7 type of deal. This could be the start of us getting that peek at that. There's a ton of other studios that, they've recently finished up making a game and they're working on their next game. Like, we know that Machine Games has expanded for a team that's going to be dedicated to doing the Indiana Jones stuff, both the DLC as well as, upcoming, titles in their series. But there's also Wolfenstein that's still something that they're working on. So there's bound to be something to catch our attention in this showcase and in upcoming showcases. But we also know that they have, Elsewhere Studio, which is part of Activision. Yes. It's been incubated for 2 to 3 years. Maybe we get to see an inkling of what they're working on. I already made mention of like the Project Mar with Ninja Theory. There's just so much that we don't quite know at this point in time that they're working on, and all of their partners, like they're working with IO Interactive on stuff. They're working with People Can Fly on stuff. Some of the stuff may have been put on the shelf temporarily, but there's still those things that they can easily go back to. And we just recently we were talking about the Toys for Bob stuff. So
I was literally going to say they're working with Toys for Bob, and obviously they showed interest in Banjo-Kazooie. Mm-hmm. Hello, thank you very much.
and Iron Galaxy, I think, is back to like they were doing the support stuff for Killer Instinct. So if we see our Killer Instinct 2 or something along those lines, like, and their partnership with Sega, which I'm pretty sure some of those like reimagined classics are going to be probably shown on an Xbox stage, along with, who knows, Persona 6 kind of thing. But yeah, there's just so much that Xbox has been working on. I would have to believe, while we may not get surprises of stuff we've never seen before, like, world premiere type of thing, we don't even need necessarily the world premiere stuff, because there's like I said earlier, there's at least 15 titles that they're working on that we're well aware of that are releasing either later this year, next year, or maybe early 2027. I would say if we get a surprise from Elsewhere, if we get a surprise from ZeniMax Online, those would be show stealers just in that regard. If we get to see an inkling of what, Halo Studios, I think is their new name, I see what they're working on now. I think that would be more than sufficient, but I think that's what this showcase is going to be about. What you can expect the last part of this year going into next year, and maybe one surprise. And who knows, maybe it's a surprise. It's a third-party partnership. We'll see.
Could very well be. You know what? Another game for next year that I forgot: State of Decay 3. Like, yeah, Jesus, it's you know what? It's the playing field is unfair. I'm sorry. The three. How dare you, $3 trillion company, release all these games? I can't play them all. It's ridiculous. Delay them, please.
Yeah.